Yes. Jackson.
Yo.
It's balloon party. You ready, boy?
I was born ready, Tim.
Damn right. Munganess, thank you for sponsoring this. Even though it's an incredible show, you should be thanking us.
Yeah.
Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Presenting sponsor, Balloon Party, 101 ESPN. My name is Timothy Michael McKernan. That's Jackson Bennett Burkett. We are on YouTube. And Ken's mouth just wrote, Piddles is loaded for bear today because of bow tie and triple sticks comments. I think it's safe to say he's tired of it. That's from Ken's mouth in the YouTube chat.
I'm tired of things.
All right, well, great. I didn't know you were loaded for bear. This will be great. I'll settle in. What are you tired of?
I'm just not necessarily loaded for bear. It's just like...
Well, you tell me what you're thinking. Unfiltered Jackson Burkett. That's what the people tune in for.
I just feel that the nature of sports discourse is crumbling before our very eyes.
Okay.
And that's because, especially with the Cardinals, what can one person do at this point in the season? To me, the script is already written. You got a team, they're either going to hit or they're not going to hit. They're either going to pitch or they're not going to pitch, and they're either going to field or they're not going to field. And so far this year, outside of a handful of pitchers and some guys out of the bullpen, they have not hit, they have not pitched well, and they have not fielded. They've fielded okay. Either way, I just don't understand what one person can do, whether it be Bill DeWitt, John Mozeliak at this point, or Oli Marmol. And so I feel like we're just looking for someone to blame, when in all reality, they didn't put a good team together, and this is the chickens coming home to roost.
Okay.
And
so that's your baseball observation, but you said the sports discourse was crumbling. I'm paraphrasing because I don't want to quote you when I don't have the transcript up in front of me.
And so in return, because of all that, still fans, Oli Marmol is the problem. Bill DeWitt is pretentious or is threatening fans when it comes to them not showing up or protesting by not coming to the games. Like, we have to be a little bit more open-minded to the fact that, like, it's not just some grand conspiracy. You know, sometimes things don't work out. And I'm not saying that to say the Cardinals have no fault.
I don't think people are saying it's conspiracy. Do you think there are conspiracy theories about the Cardinals? I want to, and if you do, then please, unfiltered Jackson Burkett.
Maybe conspiracy would not be the right word, but that, like, they're very aware that what they're doing is not going to work, but they're presenting themselves as like, nope, this ship's going to turn around. I don't think that I think that they are working for the best interest of the club, but they also have a lot of gray area when it comes to that because of the TV money and money in general. And so they're kind of in this tough spot. And I think probably negative PR was going to be a byproduct of the tough spot, but they prefer negative PR to a negative revenue stream.
Okay. I think I follow you. I know you're coming from a place with good intention. Now you seem frustrated by yourself. That's my read.
It's not just the Cardinals, though. It's so much more in sports discourse.
This is about the Timberwolves.
It's people not doing the work. There's a line in the film Air about...
I really enjoyed that film, by the way.
I did, too. I've watched it a couple times since I saw it originally.
Friend of the show, Marlon Wayans. Great performances by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Viola Davis is outstanding. Either way, after finishing up a trip to the restroom, Matt Damon tells Jason Bateman's character, all these people do no work and no research and still think they deserve a seat at the table. And I feel like so often that's the case when it comes to sports discourse. It's what can I find that'll be catchy and pump up the numbers when completely ignoring either the context of what is said or what is done or looking at the bigger picture. Are you thinking of anything in particular right now?
Just the case of, like, I feel like official blaming across sports is a very common thing.
Like as in referees?
Referees, umpires, officials.
They're mad at Jim Montgomery for not going Craig Berube in Boston. And by that they mean Berube called out the officials after Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final, and then the Blues started getting calls, and they won 3 of the next 4 and hoisted the chalice. And they wanted Jim Montgomery to do that last night. You had Rick Carlisle last week. That bothered you with the small town thing. And now, look, the Pacers are beating the Knicks by 40.
Right. A team with 50 years.
Oli Marmol got tossed yesterday, but apparently it was theater.
Yeah, I did like admitting after the fact that you weren't really that fired up. I actually kind of respect that. No, it's like people see one clip of something or they read something out of context and say, look at this, look at this, look at all this. And they build up this huge narrative or continue on building upon the narrative when in reality, when you look at the bigger picture, it probably it just doesn't make for good, catchy, short attention span theater. Like long discourse where you look at everything and all the angles is not necessarily great for ratings or great for revenue, but in reality, it's the only way that we can actually have a conversation. Because I can't anymore. I can't.
Good.
I won't.
You know what I say? What you're saying right now, I'm sure, is not going to be well received because it kind of goes against what the current tone is in the St. Louis metropolitan area and Cardinal fans around the country, world, I suppose. But the frustration with media. See, my frustrations with media, it isn't specific to local sports media or local media or sports media. It's media in general. So the one thing that stood out to me over the weekend, and in most cases I'd go, okay, it's one article, who cares? But I saw the way that this was making its ways around social media, and it plays a role in framing a narrative that contributes to fans' mindsets. And that is the fan-sided article. And it goes back to the clips that from Martin Kilcoyne's interview with Bill DeWitt III. Is this what you were thinking of in part? I gather.
Yeah, this is certainly a part of my my grander point.
Okay. And it was on fansided.com. I would imagine some of you are already familiar with it. But the headline, I think, is the thing that got people going, because I don't know if people really listened to the actual interview. And the headline said, Cardinals president threatens fans. And so I'm like, okay, I listened to Martin's interview, and I don't recall Bill DeWitt III threatening the fans, but I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I missed something. Here is the audio that was cited in the fan-sided article.
The thing I chuckle about is when I see sometimes comments, we got to, not show up to send a message that this isn't acceptable to the owners. I find that one somewhat illogical reasoning because, we just turn this revenue machine into a payroll machine. I mean, that's what this is, this business. I mean, we try to drive as much revenue as we can, and then it gets put on the field for the most part. We have to obviously put on all sorts of other expenses. We talked about the stadium earlier. If you look at the revenue rankings in MLB, for the most part, with a few rare exceptions, your ranking in revenue translates into your ranking in payroll. And, that's been true of the Cardinals, for many, many years. And, we have been sort of around the 10th out of 30th, plus or minus, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's where our payroll's been. And so you kind of, it matches for a reason. And so we try to drive additional revenue in every way that we can so that we can climb the rankings of the payroll, because we know that there's a correlation between payroll and winning, not direct. We also have to, and there are low market teams that have performed very well. And it depends on where you are in the cycle of competing, right? We don't want to have to tank for 5 years to get good draft picks and do it the way, the Astros did it or the Cubs did it or whomever.
That's Bill DeWitt III with Martin Kilcoyne. You can listen to that entire conversation at Scoops with DannyMac.com. Martin Kilcoyne with Bill DeWitt III. You just heard what he had to say. That was the excerpt from the interview that was cited in an article that made its way around Cardinal social media over the weekend. And the title of the article was Cardinals President Threatens Fans Over Calls for Boycott. Now, if you took that to be a threat, then we're just going to have to respectfully disagree. I would sum that up, if we're going to isolate it, and if I could do an autopsy of sorts on it, I would say what he was doing there was explaining how business works. Restaurant business, radio, podcast business, damn near any business.
Yeah. Revenue
correlates to expense, at least assuming that you would like to operate for the long term and not have to shut down. But I would say you also, in the course of the conversation, have to be conscientious of what your audience is thinking at the moment. And the tone, therefore, would have been better set to go, I realize many people probably are already aware of this, but when fans talk about we're not going to show up because we're not happy with the way that the team is spending, maybe something that people would better understand if I explained that the money that is generated by attendance is put back into the product on the field. So it's not like we're hoarding money, even though I think some fans may mistakenly think that. I can assure you that if you look at the numbers, we're about 10th in revenue, we're about 10th in spending over the last 5 years, if you average it out. That, I think, would have come off better. But either way, my overall premise is, if you want to, and again, this is a fan-sided article. This wasn't like Ken Rosenthal, and that's not intended to be a shot at the guy who wrote it, because I don't know if he's the one responsible for the headline.
Right.
But Cardinals president threatens fans over calls for boycott. That is not what that was. If you think it was, again, we'll just respectfully disagree. I'd like to think that 9 out of 10 of you listening would acknowledge that, even if you're pissed at the Cardinals. And it speaks to the bigger issue, which is our current state in our industry is not about giving people honesty. It's about getting people to click, or getting people to, retweet or, repost their excerpts from their interviews, in which people are usually doing the interviews for free, but then you can get them on a little quote and send that out, and then it can cause chaos in their particular careers.
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of where my grand point was going to, was that people no longer want an honest conversation. It's a conversation that's either sensationalized, it's prisoner of the moment, or like grabby, like that headline may be to some people. It bores me at a certain point, because we're just not having we're having a conversation that's been created by narratives across, whether it be social media or local discourse, whatever it might be. Like, you got to come at things with an open mind to being wrong about your original premonition. Like, if you come into it with a closed mind, we can't have a conversation. And that just feeds into the problems that I think we're seeing around the conversation with the Cardinals.
So I think one of the big issues here is fans' frustration with the product on the field, and then feeling like the organization is not reciprocating their emotion. Mm-hmm. And I'm certain, there's not a doubt in my mind, and I guess I could be wrong, that Bill DeWitt and Bill DeWitt III are furious/concerned about what they are seeing. However, why, coming off of one of the worst seasons that most Cardinal fans have seen in their lives, and the worst record-wise since 1990, and the uncertainty that you acknowledge with the television situation, would you extend the manager a week and a half out before the season starts? That's the thing. So you can convey urgency, and that this has to turn around, and that we need fans to support us because the revenue turns into the payroll. But then by extending Oli Marmol, who, again, as I've said often, but I realize people may be listening for the first time, I don't blame Oli Marmol for this. I thought the roster was middling, somewhere in the 82 to 84 win range is what I thought, but possibly good enough to win the Central. I was confused by the victory laps about the starting rotation that went on. Confused by hyping up Yadier Molina's presence with the ballpark or ball club. And I said that back in January, not now that it's been 5 months and nobody knows where he is. That, to me, sent a message to the fan base that was insulting to people's intelligence. You can't possibly spin that. And I'm telling you, and I still don't think the body is buried, so to speak, that if they lost yesterday, wouldn't surprise me if somebody lost their job. Now, I'm not saying it would have been John Mozeliak or Oli Marmol, but someone. Mm-hmm. So the fact that the Cardinals rallied from a 3-0 deficit yesterday may have saved Turner Ward's job or somebody like that. And who knows? Maybe Randy Carrick and I were just kind of BSing about it in between shows. Who knows? Maybe something that happens on the off day in between returning from Anaheim if they lose 2 of 3 or all 3 and this big homestand. The thing with this homestand, as we've talked about, is it's not like you're playing the Marlins, Pirates, and, Guardians or something like that. Well, first place Guardians. You got the Red Sox, Orioles, and Cubs. It'd be hard for attendance to be bad.
Right.
But with that all established, I based on my interactions with Bill DeWitt over the years, I believe he's coming from a good place. And even though it's incredibly unpopular to say right now, I don't care. This is how I feel. I think the evidence is also there. The DeWitt ownership era will be considered one of the greatest in St. Louis sports history, even though I know that sounds ridiculous to say right now, and the anger toward that administration is at an all-time high. Doesn't change. But the last 5 years have certainly been eye-opening and concerning, and that is a lack of accountability. And when you extend Oli Marmol going into the season, it's just so bizarre and insulting. And what's the point? What's the point? And you can go, well, you can still fire him. I understand, but there's also, you have to calculate the messaging to your clients. And your clients in this case are 3 million people. And that's what they got wrong. I don't have a problem with what he said to Martin Kilcoyne, and I just don't, because it's kind of basic, supply and demand, guns and butter, revenue and expenses. It's pretty basic. But if it's framed as he threatened us and then you don't hear the soundbite, then it turns into an echo chamber of anger that already exists. Any Cardinal who says anything at this moment, you can isolate it, and it turns into spewing venom. But again, it shows that there was a lack of understanding of the frustration with the manner with which it was said, kind of laughing like it's illogical. Well, yeah, but you went to an Ivy League school and you've run a business, and not everybody has had that experience. And most of the people who are coming in there probably aren't getting K1s,
Yep.
So there has to be an understanding there, but I don't think it came from a bad place. I think when you say that he threatened the fan base, that comes from a bad place.
Yep.
That
Agreed.
was what I say was the part that I vehemently disagree with. Your thoughts are welcome. 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line. And you're also welcome to participate in the YouTube chat. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. James Carlton of the Carlton State Farm Insurance Agency is online at carltoninsurance.net. You can type his name into a Google search engine and see 367 5-star reviews for James and his staff in Webster Groves. I'm a client, so I can tell you firsthand how great my experience has been. But 367 people have left a 5-star review for James, and that speaks to the reputation that James and his staff are getting throughout the St. Louis area. Go online at carltoninsurance.net or call 314-961-4800 and work with James and his staff. Great customer service. Has your insurance gone up in the last year? Give James a chance to save you money. And if you have kids under 25 on your insurance policy, this is where James saves people the most money. It's carltoninsurance.net, 314-961-4800, James Carlton. If your insurance costs a leg and an arm, call James Carlton, State Farm. back. Balloon Party 101 ESPN. It is presented to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, Timothy Michael McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you on the program. Jackson, what did you put together here for this Monday?
Little weekend wrap-up.
A little Piddles weekend wrap-up.
Yeah, I thought after the weekend that we could do some reflection. We can do some reflection. Yesterday, the Cardinals won, snapping a 7-game skid. 8 back now? 9 back? 8 back? Oh, who cares? Generally, are you pro or anti a manager getting run on purpose to shake something up and get the team fired up? Does it take away the effect a little when the manager admits to it after the fact?
Honestly, I can't think of too many times when a manager admits that they got run on purpose after a game.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like Coach Norman Dale did it in Hoosiers.
He sure did. Yeah, you wanted to get run in that one.
The great Gene Hackman. But I don't know about a baseball manager now. Do I think it's happened? Sure, of course.
Probably.
Without question. But I don't know about a guy admitting afterwards. Do you have that sound?
I do. I do have the sound of Oli Marmol following yesterday's affair.
Oh, huge. Changes the complete mood of the clubhouse as far as just leaving here with a win, going to L.A., and then hopefully take care of business there. But, yeah, seeing the guys come off the field and in here, just the overall vibe and enthusiasm behind how that day went. Offensively, it was a really good day. Guys are starting to come out of it. Yesterday, we saw some of that today. They repeated it, but very positive.
Usually when managers or bench coaches get ejected, it's because an overturned call didn't go their way. Yours did, but there was clearly frustration in the first 3 innings about the umpiring.
No, Alan Porter and Sean Barber are good umpires. That had more to do with getting something going. Those guys do a nice job. Their job is tough. But at times you just got a little skid, get something going. But no, I've got nothing against that group.
Do you feel like it worked?
I'm glad the boys pulled it together and won. Yeah.
Performance art.
I like that.
You like performance art.
I like being honest.
And yet you make fun of people who watch professional wrestling.
No. Because, if professional wrestling came out after and said all of this was nonsense and fake, either then, I don't care. Watch whatever you want. Just don't bother me. I like, because the official blaming stuff, I have a big problem with.
Seems like you're really upset with Rick Carlisle more than anybody.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb. Just look at the numbers. Look at the game. Whatever. Regardless, I feel like we are in too much of the official screwed us, the ref screwed us. It's like the ultimate trump card. It's like, well, no, we shouldn't have lost. The umpires don't make you hit the ball. They don't make you make the basket. They don't make you score the goal. They don't make you score the touchdown. The players have to do that. So enough. Either way, I like when somebody who does something like that, where you get in the face of somebody, can make an umpire look bad and say, no, I think those are good guys. I was doing it on purpose. I like that. Because then it's essentially falling on a sword without anyone asking to fall on the sword. I like that. I think that's quality leadership. I'm not saying that Oli Marmol is a great manager by any means, but that specific soundbite, I like that. I like that.
So you like the idea of a manager going out there to try to get his team fired?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you got to do some. And as I said before, managers have very little that they can actually do. Some like that is some tangible.
Doug Vaughn and I were talking about this on TMA. I just don't know. I get it. Perhaps with college basketball, where I feel like psychology and
momentum,
intensity and momentum in a big way.
Yeah.
More so, I feel like in college basketball.
Agreed.
Than the NBA can matter. And when it gets down to it, it's a pitcher and a hitter, and because the manager got tossed, I don't think that made Paul Goldschmidt hit a home run for the first time in 3 weeks. You know what I mean?
No, agreed on that.
So I felt like it was more about showing fans and his bosses than it was the team.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's a bit hollow to me.
That can certainly be the case. I think more so, like I've said before, I just don't think managers can do a whole lot to shake things up outside of changing up the lineup or bringing in a certain pitcher. And doing something like that at least shows, and maybe you're right, maybe it's fans and showing the bosses that you're really into this. And that might be the case. I like it better than just sitting there. I don't know. But after a 7-game skid and facing tough road ahead, I don't mind it.
Yeah, and it was odd because it was after challenges, but I know they weren't happy with the call earlier in the game that led to it. Oli's job's on the line, and that's the first time in forever that he showed any emotion. That was intentional to show that he cares. Too little, too late, though, in my mind. That's from the 314. Piddles, if you're going to say that referees or umpires don't hit the ball, don't catch the ball, don't do the things on the field as far as scoring, you also have to admit that they do have the power of taking away scores and points. So although they can't make them, they can definitely take them, and that's where the controversy lies. That's from the 980.
Definitely, but my point is the outlier does not represent the rule. Because a ref makes a couple of bad calls doesn't mean that the ref screwed you from the game. No one, basketball games are 48 minutes. Football games are an hour. Baseball games are 9 innings. Like, you have opportunities to make up for mistakes of other people, of extraneous factors. You can make up those mistakes. I'm just saying blaming it, coming out and your first thing is blaming the officials, I think is weak. I think it is a weak way to evaluate a performance of your game. I'm not saying anyone has done that. Rick Carlisle, even in that terrible post-game presser he had, did admit that they didn't play great.
Rick Carlisle has been mentioned in the last 25 minutes more on this show than he has been in the last decade on this station, I think.
Because I think it represents a bigger issue. I think it's a bigger underlying issue of not taking self-inventory and blaming yourself. Sometimes you don't play great, and that's that. The Cardinals aren't playing great. That's kind of it. Oli Marmol can scream and hoot and holler, and the media can ask the tougher questions. It's not changing a damn thing.
NBA is garbage. Look at the ratings. LOL. Go LB. That's from the 217.
Whatever.
I was debating whether or not to read it because I know you go into a dark place when you get those guys.
Look at the ratings. Compared to what? Another winter sport?
The Raps cost the Balloons a game in the 2019 Stanley Cup playoffs.
Okay. Spell check is a really nice tool.
You know, I think that was the
Blues.
refs cost the Blues a game in the 2019 Stanley Cup playoffs. Could be talking hand pass, or what actually has Boston fans crying out for wanting Craig Berube. We'll tell you what that is all about on the other side of the break. This is Balloon Party on 101 ESPN. Hey, this is Tim McKernan for the Bath Authority. If your bath or shower is old, outdated, has mold, mildew, or broken tiles, you got to call the good people at the Bath Authority. The Bath Authority provides the highest quality bathroom remodeling products along with a world-class customer experience. Their modern, durable tubs and showers are designed with an exclusive high-tech polymer liner. And what that means to you is it'll be low maintenance, resistant to mold and mildew, easy to clean, and last for decades. Plus, it comes with a lifetime warranty. Walk-in tubs, replacement showers, tub-to-shower conversions, and more. Every unit's custom built. You pick the premium accents and accessories, including safety features like low-profile showers, grab bars, and shower seats. Call today, 314-347-0410, and get $1,500 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. You are their priority at the Bath Authority. Elevate your bathroom to a new level of luxury, style, and safety. Call today, 314-347-0410, to schedule your free in-home estimate today and get $1,500 off a new shower or bath, plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Restrictions apply. TheBathAuthority.com. A better bath awaits.
This is Action Jackson with a SportsCenter update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals win yesterday, snapping a 7-game losing streak 4-3 over the Milwaukee Brewers. They head out to Anaheim tonight as they take on the Los Angeles Angels. 8:38 is your first pitch in L.A. Matthew Liberatore will take the mound for the Cardinals. And yesterday in the NBA, the Pacers defeat the Knicks 121-89, tying that series up 2-2 as they head back to the Garden. Meanwhile, the Nuggets defeat the Timberwolves 115-107, also tying that series at 2 apiece. That was another SportsCenter update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back. Balloon Party 101 ESPN. Tim McKernan, Jackson Burkett with you here on the program. A lot of Cardinal discussion, as you might imagine, but Stanley Cup playoffs, Jackson. Boy, friend of the program, Patty Maroon, was out there last night skating around, and he wanted a piece of anybody on the Panthers. Even skated by Bobrovsky last night. You know who he is?
Bobrovsky?
Yes.
Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky. Well, when you skate past him, you just hope you leave with your neck intact. Who the hell's Bobrovsky?
Sergei Bobrovsky.
And he plays for the Panthers?
He's their netminder.
Is that right?
Not a guy named Bobrovsky.
Well, I mean, a little context here.
I'm operating on the premise that you've heard of him.
No.
That was my mistake.
Indeed. If they're not from St. Louis or they play for the St. Louis Blues, chances are I've yet to hear of them.
Okay.
Unless they're a superstar. McDavid, Austin Matthews.
Well, they're not happy in Boston about a variety of things now. And that stemming from Sam Bennett's hit on Brad Marchand, friend of the program also. And so Patty Maroon was just skating around before the game, just saying, anybody want to go? Anybody want to go?
I do like that.
Even Bo Space Brosky,
who net mines for the Panthers.
That's correct.
Outfit.
And the Bruins jumped out to a quick lead, had a 2-0 lead, lost the game 3-2, and now are down 3-1 in the series. The goal that gave the Panthers the lead and wound up being the game winner to send it back to Sunrise, Florida, will win away from the Eastern Conference Finals. I was, and many in Boston are shocked that it was not overturned. And it's not like I like Pat Maroon, and hey, you got Trent Frederick, on the Bruins as well, but Matthew Tkachuk's on the Panthers. I just, calling it how I see it. I'm really surprised that wasn't overturned. In Boston, they were furious with both the call and then Jim Montgomery for not being more emotional about it. Do you have the
Yes, I do.
Take a listen.
I do indeed.
Interference on the tying goal. Toronto ruled that it was a good goal. That the play didn't interfere with the goal. That's the explanation we got.
What did you see on it? When you saw the replay, you made the decision to challenge. What led to that decision?
We thought that Coyle was on top of our goaltender, and if Coyle was able to stand his ground, he could have cleared the puck. That inhibited our goaltender from being able to react to playing the puck. Dan?
So there you get the idea they're not going to play the whole thing because there isn't a whole lot of fire there, and Boston fans are pissed at the call, but then wanted Montgomery to come after Toronto, where they reviewed it, for not overturning it. And so they hear that, and they're like, the hell? And so what they're saying in Boston is, hey, remember after Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final, first Stanley Cup Final game in St. Louis since the 1960s, when the Blues lost 7-2 to the Bruins, and Craig Berube, who was super calm following the hand pass game, and I think instructed his team to be super calm when addressing the media following the hand pass game in the Western Conference Finals against the Sharks, was very critical about all of the penalties that have been called on the Blues through the first 3 games, pointing out that the team had been the least penalized team in the Stanley Cup playoffs going into that series. And while they lost 7-2 in that game, he didn't really view it that way because the Bruins had 5 power plays right out of the gate. And he was really concerned with the way that the series was being called. Things changed over the next 4 games, and the Blues won 3 of the next 4, only losing Game 6 in St. Louis as they went on to win Game 7 in Boston to win the Cup. And so what they're saying in Boston is, hey, remember Craig Berube? That's the kind of fire you need after something like that happens. It worked for the Blues. It cost our Bruins. Jim Montgomery, what are you doing? And I am of the opinion, as I think other people were, including Doug Armstrong, which is why he didn't announce Drew Bannister as the full-time head coach until last week, once the Bruins got past the Leafs in 7 games, that Jim Montgomery's not on the firmest of footing in Boston. And so what if, Jackson, the Bruins lose in 5 to the Panthers and Jim Montgomery and the Bruins part ways?
It's a moment in history that you have to monitor, because you then, presumably, Jim Montgomery will go to a different team, see how that team does, see how the Blues do. And we've seen what happens when you bite at the apple a touch early. We saw it happen with Marcell Ozuna because Christian Yelich, who the Cardinals wanted, was not available. They get Ozuna. Yelich then later becomes available, heads to the Brewers. MVP season. Ozuna, of course, had the great catch at the wall, the team made the NLCS, so it's tough to be like, well, they did nothing. But it's something you monitor where the 2 tracks, the 2 realities that could have been for the Blues. The one they went with Drew Bannister, or if they had been a little bit more patient, possibly going with Jim Montgomery. There's a lot of possible still there. They could still win the series.
Yeah, Boston could still win the Chalice for that matter, but They are on death's doorstep, and they will have to win 2 times in Florida. With that all established, with unhappiness in Boston over the way that was handled, over where the Bruins are, they're going, yeah, and Craig Berube's still out there. And the Leafs are interested in Craig Berube. What if, when this is all said and done, Jim Montgomery is out and Craig Berube becomes the Bruins head coach?
Then a third.
Oh, layers upon layers upon layers.
Third parallel reality becomes a
I wonder if the Leafs say, hey, you got to make the decision here. Hey, here's the job. You got to make the decision before tomorrow night, for example, when the Panthers could possibly beat the Bruins.
Yeah, and Bobrovsky.
And Bo Space Brosky.
Is he looking
American kid from Texas.
Is he looking to coach a team?
Bo Brosky?
Maybe the Blues should
get a net mind.
Fair enough.
Don't get upset.
I'm so emotional about Bobrovsky. Where's Marc-Andre Fleury when you need him? I don't know. I think you have 3 parallel realities. Not firing Berube, waiting a second, possibly getting Montgomery, and then the reality you chose, and that is Drew Bannister.
That is, I would think Montgomery. I don't know. Montgomery, a week later.
And possibly.
That's what you could be looking at.
Yep. And how different it could be. Now, maybe 5 years, we're looking like, boy, glad they avoided the Montgomery thing. Maybe firing Berube was correct because Bannister has brought 2 cups to the St. Louis.
The Blues are going to win 2 cups the next 5 years.
If depends on the prominence. Yeah, if Bobrovsky's still bringing it strong in 5 years, maybe not. Matthew Tkachuk. Hello, St. Louis.
We'll take a commercial break, come back with the final segment of Balloon Party for the day. This is 101 ESPN. Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota, presenting sponsor of Balloon Party, and the place my family goes to get our cars, the place we recommend you go to get yours as well. They have a TMA listener loyalty discount. Take a listen to this. We're going to bring it over to Balloon Party. $589 a month, no money down, 4-year lease at Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on a 2024 MDX Premium. That's an Acura MDX Premium. Brand new. And you get it for $589 a month with no money down at Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. When you let them know you're a TMA or Balloon Party listener, just start working with that Jamie Burkhardt. You'd be thrilled you did. StLouisAcura.com and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Online at altontoyota.com. And even if you didn't get your car from Munganess, get your car serviced at Munganess. St. Louis Acura and Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota. Online at StLouisAcura.com and altontoyota.com. Final segment of Balloon Party for Monday, May 13th, 2024. BK and Ferrario up next. My name is Timothy Michael McKernan. That's Jackson Bennett Burkett, and he's got the Little Piddles weekend wrap-up. What question is next?
Da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na-na.
Sick.
Da-na-na, da-na-na.
Delay tactic.
Da-na-na. A question I pondered on TMA was, do you think most fan bases in Major League Baseball would think that their manager is just an extension of the front office and carrying out the front office wishes, like the seeming consensus is with the Cardinals? Do you think most would view that as a negative or as a positive?
I liked the question then. I like the question now. But just like then when you asked it, I still don't really know. I think certainly a higher percentage of managers are front office puppets than, say, when Whitey Herzog or Tony La Russa were in the dugouts for the Cardinals. But I can't imagine, like, Bruce Bochy's sitting there listening to Chris Young
right,
call the shots and in Dallas. So the truth is, I really don't know. I also don't think that the games are closely followed as much around the country like they are in St. Louis. Certainly some markets, New York, passionate without question. But I don't think that that's necessarily something people are even monitoring that closely.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's more so like less GM, president of baseball operations, telling the manager, this is what you're going to do here, here, and here, and more so pushing analytic department meetings onto all baseball ops people. Anyone involved with the team is going to be learning a lot quickly about analytics and what to focus on, what not to focus on. And by extension, instead of telling people this is what you're going to do, say the analytics point to this, this, and this, so it would be dumb to make any other decision. Therefore, kind of taking some of the human element out of it. But there also is a human element to it. Sometimes the eye of a baseball personnel is more indicative of what's going to happen than necessarily analytics. And so it's the balance of both. No one team, and contrary to popular belief by some, is totally dependent on analytics. If they were, then the game would look a lot different.
The coach/manager, in my opinion, should push back, be the baseball mind. That's from the 816. Yes, in a vacuum, that sounds great, but if that would be considered insubordination by the front office, then that's a different conversation.
Right.
So that might be something to take into account. Jackson, next question.
Well, Tim, Paul Goldschmidt's month of May is truly beyond disaster. I know that the last couple of days have been better, but up until that, he was staring down the barrel at like 0 for 30 for May.
Like Dylan Carlson is 0 for 16?
Yeah, that's another one, but he didn't win an MVP 2 years ago. And so my question here is...
But he is hitting fifth for some reason when he comes out
that's
there.
DC's spot, and we've always known that.
Amen.
The fifth spot is reserved for DC. I feel like hyperbole and instant gratification can be placed on fans and media in some aspects of the 2024 Cardinals, but there's no way to spin that Goldie has been certified bad this year. In your career, have you seen an aging player fall off a cliff like this in your 25-year Hall of Fame career?
Thank you for saying that.
Would you say his decline last season was an indicator of what's to come? And do you still think there is value for him in the trade market if he can pick it up just a touch?
Mark McGwire would be one.
He had a precipitous drop
what
off.
He was in 99 and what he was in 2001 to the point that the Cardinals moved him down beneath Dylan Carlson's guaranteed spot of fifth.
Right.
And that's when the team actually turned it around. That's also when they got some pitching. Woody Williams went off. But the Cardinals, would have had that if they would have re-signed Albert Pujols following the 2011 season. I don't think anybody would dispute that. Yeah, I mean, what Paul Goldschmidt means to the team is so huge, because what that does is you go from, we got a kind of a sure out, we can just throw sliders or fastballs outside and he's going fishing, to we got to worry about him. It's a different thing, and you saw that yesterday. But he is still hitting a .197. The thing is, it's not just him, but for him, as you made reference to, as an MVP, it's just so much more impactful. But Lars Nootbaar is at 202, Nolan Gorman's at a .187, Brendan Donovan's at 212. The occasional appearances by Crawford are not necessarily leading to magic. He's hitting a .107. Siani's like, it's not too bad because he's hitting 250. You know what I mean? It's like, Siani isn't that bad.
A nothing bat going into the season.
Yeah.
A guy who might not have made the team based on his hitting ability.
Herrera, not that bad. Why? Well, he's hitting 263. That just shows how awful the situation is.
Yeah. But you even look, and obviously mentioning Pujols right now would be ignoring some of the context and some of the nuance around it. But even Pujols in his final year with the Cardinals was like the second or third.
That's correct.
Now, of course, you're paying him.
But
nothing.
if you remember, we were talking in June of that year, and we were like, I'm not even sure they're going to keep him around.
Right.
So things changed dramatically after the All-Star break. Just for comparing and contrasting, since I have the box score up right in front of me, the Brewers' leadoff hitter, Bryce Terang's hitting 301. Then you have William Contreras hitting 346, Christian Yelich hitting 364. And I mean, the Cardinals don't have anybody within the shouting distance of any of their top three right out of the gate. It's just, so this isn't like a baseball-wide problem. This is a Cardinal thing. This is a Cardinals. Don't get me wrong. It's not like baseball offense is surging, but the Cardinals' levels are so bad.
Yeah.
And this is the team they're chasing, and you see what you've got from them. It's amazing. It's eye-opening what is going on offensively with the Cardinals. Let's see what takes place this week in Anaheim. And then they will come home for one of the best homestands of the year. Perfect timing. The weather should be glorious. And you also have Memorial Day weekend and a series at home with the Cubs, but it starts with the Red Sox, then the Orioles. Will everybody who is currently with the Cardinal organization be here by the time the Cubs leave after Memorial Day weekend, Jackson?
No.
Wow.
Not everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jackson Bennett Burkett.
No, but I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be somebody maybe super impactful or super big name, but if things continue, and based on what we've seen, it certainly looks like it will, someone will get the short haircut.
There it is, Jackson Burkett, official prediction. All right, time for us to shut it down. BK and Ferrario are up next. For Jackson Burkett, I'm Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN, the 101 ESPN YouTube channel.